academic library. Please welcome.
So thank you, Brendan. Good morning, everyone. Lucky you, it's the Frenchy days today. Yeah. So sorry about my accent and my poor English that can sometimes be quite invasive, and I'm really impressed. So please be nice. I'm Séverine Queune. I work in BULAC since January 2009. First as a preservation agent to restore our patrimonial collections, and I began to be the Koha functional administrator in January 2016. So it's quite early. It's quite close from now. To be clear, I'm not a librarian. I'm not an IT girl, but I'm learning both. So I don't know if everyone already heard about the BULAC library, so I will quickly introduce it. So BULAC is an academic library specialized in non-Occidental areas and languages. The library opened in December 2011, which marked the end of a large-scale project that took 6 years to achieve. You are here. Got here a picture of the building. We are sharing with the INALCO, which is the National Institute of Language and Orientalist Civilization. So the collection we have were given or deposited by 19 different institutions. The most important one was the former UNZO, which means Oriental Language Library, which was founded in 1669 by Colbert, which was the Minister of Finance under the rule of the Sun King. So you can see it's quite an old library. We possess more than 1.5 million documents. We don't really have an exact count of all our collections because most of the collections are still in our card catalog. You can easily understand that three centuries of card cataloging is hard to catch up. So a large part of our collections are in Oriental languages. They are coming from more than 180 countries in over 80 different script systems and in more than 350 languages. So here is the collections. About BULAC premises, we mainly serve students, researchers and teachers, but it's also open to every person over 18 years old, whether they have an interest in our collections or not. So it's a kind of public library. And it's the institutional affiliation that offers different kinds of services, like borrowing documents or booking spaces, like the carrel you can see on the picture. It's small individual boxes the researchers and teachers can book. So since its opening in 2011, BULAC encountered quite a great success. Here are some numbers you can consider. Since the creation of the BULAC in 2005, the choice to promote open source softwares was each year higher. So it quickly became evident to choose Koha as ILS when we had to choose one. and now working with Elasticsearch is the continuation of these choices. So the decision to move to Koha was taken in 2008, and the migration from Millennium to Koha.02 took place, happened in September 2011, just before the opening of the library. And because of the specification of our collections and of the services we wanted to provide to our patrons, we sponsored local features that mainly concerned the circulation module, just like the close stack requests, or like what Sonia just described in the previous presentation. We also needed an on-site checkout option, which at the time was not included in Koha, but now it is. We also wanted to put aside items for a few days for the same patron when they asked it, and it was associated with desk management, because we've got 3 floors on the libraries, so it was easier for patron and staff to exactly know where the item was waiting. And we also sponsorized the creation of the module to book all the space that are available. So it was important to us to have only one interface for all the staff and the patrons. But what we didn't think of when we sponsorized all these announcements, because they were not in the community version, it was that it would be very, very difficult to catch up the community branches. Because all these features were hard-coded in our Koha 3.2 version. So a wonderful guy who I hired, his name is Nicolas Legrand, which means in French, the great, just like Alexander, and he totally his name is what is perfect for him, because he read all our Koha code and extracts everything that was not of the community branch to get all these features on independence. And then, thanks to the work he did, we finally could update our Koha, keeping all our functionalities, all our features. So the first update took place in 2016, and there were 2 more since that time. It was important for us to get closer to the community branch, because everyone was working hard to improve Koha and develop new features and enhancements, and we were taken apart for such a long time. It was not a good thing, and we were aware that we also could bring things, interesting things, to the community. It was also the occasion when updating to get closer from the community itself, by being part of the French association Kohala, and by reporting bugs and testing bugs. So we try to get very involved at what we didn't, that didn't happen since quite a long year. So, as I explained before, you can here see, oh, it's not very clear, sorry. It's very small. You can see here a typical page with the results you can have on BULAC catalog. So first you have Chinese, and then you have Birman, you have also Georgian, Hebrew, Arabic, and Korean languages. So to help, oh, sorry, I was too quick. To help the user, it was important for us to use the original language, the original scripts of the document, but also to use a Latin version because it was easier for the non-specialist, for the non-language specialist to find documents in the catalog, and it's also useful to get around any technical difficulties. So to ease the search in the catalog, virtual keyboards are available on all the computers of the library. So here you have different alphabets. Now you have quite a good idea about BULAC specificities. Let's talk about search engine more precisely, and why after the first heard about Elasticsearch project, we thought about abandoning Zebra. So let's be honest, Zebra was for us a black box. Sometimes Nicolas describes it as a blob. He tried a lot of time to understand how it works, and each time it was doomed. So we were really interested when we first heard about it. One of the problems we also have is about slowdowns and performance issues. For example, here there is a graph. Here is a graph of the Zebra queue that suddenly crashed, as you can see here. And we don't know why we had this kind of request that was always waiting. And it was really difficult for us because it happens really often. So, because of the specificities of our record, we had we were not convinced by the different results we could have with Zebra, even with Occidental language. If I show you here some results. Here is my request, and you can see that the first results doesn't have the words. I'm sorry, it's in French, but you can see that I've got documents even in Chinese. So why, I don't understand. And my document I'm looking for is here. It's the 16th result, so it's quite disturbing. One of the most representative example we had was about this review. You can see the number of results, and here is the first page of results. We don't have any mention of the words we were looking for. It was on the second page. Here, it's the 33rd result. So even for Occidental, it was really difficult, and we were beginning to be less and less credible for our patrons. They were not using our catalog, so we really needed to handle that. You can easily imagine that the results were correct for non-alphabetic languages. If I go back to my examples, here is a search in Chinese, and you can see the number of records I have. The first one, why is it here? Because I'm looking for Chinese and for a Chinese sentence, I don't know. And I highlighted the search I made, so there are only two occurrences, which is here and here, and it doesn't appear anywhere in the other records. So it was really hard for us to understand the way Zebra worked. We also have issues with the Unicode equivalence. I don't know if you know this character. It's quite used. It's used very often in Arabic script languages because it can be it's about the I or the E. So in Arabic, it's coded. The Unicode is that one, but for Persian and Urdu, it's that one. So one of the problem or experiments that for a long time our Persian collection were cataloged using the Arabic keyboard. But now that we have the virtual keyboards, the students uses this one and trying to find a title using this Persian version of this character, they didn't find anything. So it was a great problem for us because a lot of our collection were totally lost in the limbs. I don't know if I did say that. We also had a lot of problems searching in item data, even when we were using indexes. And, well, we have problems with facets, and sometimes, even though we were not modifying the settings of Zebra, we had regressions that we cannot explain. So it was quite disturbing, and we were really happy when we heard about Elasticsearch. So the first time we heard of it was in June 2016 at the French Symposium that took place at Sonia's University. This was the first heard we had about this project because, as I told you, before 2016, BULAC, because of its fork, was quite a part of the community. But because of the work that remains to do, it was very huge, and we had also a lot of local issues we needed to solve. It was like we couldn't use it before quite a long time. That was a good surprise when Nick made the first installation and demonstration on Hackfest that took place at BULAC. Well, I don't know if it was the first one, but it was the first one I saw. So it was really interesting, and Nicolas, my IT guy, said us, oh, we have to keep an eye on this project because it's going to be wonderful for our collections. So that's what we did. And a few months later, when Paul from BULAC does a presentation of the new features of the 16.11 release, there were more enhancements about Elasticsearch, and I remember he said it was possible that we would probably, oh sorry, this was a nonsense. He said it was possible to use it quite quickly, actually, if someone really wants to get involved in that development. And in a new Hackfest in Marseille, Nick also did another presentation of Elasticsearch, and he described it. If I remember well, he finished his presentation saying, It's not perfect, but it works as good as Zebra, and try it, it's worth it. So he was so enthusiastic that we say, okay, why don't try it? I don't think he gets he gets the idea of how it's his fault if we begin this project. So in the next weeks, as Zebra was getting worse than ever, we decided to create a working group about indexation. Not necessarily about Elasticsearch, but it was a good occasion for us to work with our with our staff to define, okay, what have we got now? What do we want? That was one of the things we didn't do since the installation of Koha in 2011. So 6 years later, it was time to do that. And it was also the occasion to test how Elasticsearch could fit all our needs. So during whole spring and summer 2017, we made an inventory of all the documentation that exists, community documentation, but also internal, because there have been a lot of documents about target settings for search that was made in 2011. We made equivalences between the indexes of Zebra and Elasticsearch to identify what was missing from a side and what was not useful, to have a clear vision of what we needed. So, sorry. In September 2017, we start the indexation group. So we create a new instance, which name was BULAC. In most of Eastern language, it means mess. So it was really a good name, because we did a lot of bad things on that instance, but it was devoted to that. We made a selection of representative records, which means stuff we can work with on non-alphabetic language that could be able to say, okay, this mapping works and this mapping doesn't work for my collections. So we selected collections in Chinese, Hebrew, Urdu, Persian, and Russian. Is everything okay? I don't know about the pronunciation, if the presentation is good. And we organized six sessions of 2 hours. Each one had a different customized mapping, so we could test with our staff which one was more efficient about some data. And we've got spreadsheets to follow where all the searches were filled, and it was a way to do the same searches on different sessions and to compare all the results, because we found it was the easiest way to identify where the trouble can be. So, as it was a success, because all our staff was really happy about the result they get with Elasticsearch. We planned an update in 1805 for June 2018, sorry. So as you can see, it was very close from the release date, especially because, I don't know if you remember, but we have local developments, so it was quite a challenge. We decided to sponsorize some new features for this version. So we worked with BULAC to get all these new features. One of the most important for us was the weighting option on mapping, because it was a way to get results more relevant. And when the first patches that concerning this enhancement were available, we installed them on our test instance. So we test this new batch, and the mapping we defined it on all our catalog data. These are numbers I could not pronounce, so you can note them if you want. And the first session was not, it was not completely a defeat, but it was not the success we were hoping, because we get some regression, just like, and get the kind of result we could have with Zebra. So it was quite disturbing. We worked hard with Nicolas to find out what could happen, because it worked really well when we had only our representative panel, and when we get all our records, it's getting many absences. So we were trying to find it out. We just realized that the ICU module was missing, and just applying it resolves almost all our problems for almost all the languages. So it was really useful. We very quickly realized that the energy we could have provided to get normal results with Zebra, we could now spend it to work on fine-tuning to Elasticsearch, and now get excellent results. So it was really a really good experience. So now, then the next step was updating Koha. So we did a full-scale test with our 2 test instances. So it was, in only 1 month, Nicolas made 4 updates. That was quite a challenge too. Then we draft all the documentation to get our staff well informed about all the enhancements that were now available, especially about the performance on the catalog search. That was the update. So we had no service interruption, because it happens during the night. So on the 28th June, when the library opened, it was the catalog was totally available. That's one of the good things about Elasticsearch. Indexation is really, really quick, but I will talk about it later. During the summer, most of our staff and some patrons tracked all the non-relevant searches and mappings in order to fix that during the autumn. So that will be the next step. also with an exhaustive formation of all our stuff, because now with the indexes that are really, really efficient and the facets, we can easily combine all kinds of searches to identify the really restrictive, I don't know if I can say that, really small corpuses for our patrons, and that was what they were looking for. And one of our goals for next year is to focus on authorities, because we first thought our authorities didn't work, because with Zebra we always had no results, and finally with Elasticsearch we realized that, oh no, we have authorities, and we have billions of authorities, because some are present so many times. Instead of having one, we've got 10, 11, 15. So it's a mess, and we have a lot to do about that. And there is also great developments that are going on, so it will be really interesting. Now the feedbacks. One of the great advantage of Elasticsearch is in its architecture, because it's easy. It's easy in its installation, in its configuration, in its use, in its documentation. It can work on a different instance, which was the end. Well, it was not the end of the slowdowns, but they were reduced. And it's lighter than Zebra. See the difference of the table. The indexation process is really quicker, because for all our database with Zebra, we were around 18 hours. We are now 8 hours. So during just one night, we could index more than 1 million bibliographic records. So it's a really good thing. One of the important things is that it's naturally more relevant than Zebra. So it can be used by most libraries that don't want to do any customization. So it's really useful. You had a clear vision of which data are indexed, because all the mappings are available in the interface user. So if you need to understand why, when you do some search, you get some results, it's easy to get to the mapping page and try to find out which field or which subfield brings these results in your result page. That's a great thing. The catalog remains available when the indexation is in process. So we found it was really helpful, especially when we made a lot of modification in mappings, because in a few minutes you've got about 3,000. I think it takes 5 minutes for the first 1,000 records to be indexed. So we can easily test that the modification we made on the mapping are efficient, and if it's not, we can easily stop the indexation, modify the mapping, and start a new indexation. So it's a lot of time. It's well, really good. Sorry, I'm losing my word. Now the difficulties. So this is special. This is really due to our installation. We had to change the value of the query auto truncate. Oh, sorry. the value of the query auto-truncate syspref. With Zebra, it was automatic. Now we have to add a manual joker. It was necessary because with non-alphabetic scripts, especially Chinese, if we kept the automatic joker, there were no result at all. So it's now a long job to create new habits for our users, because they were using catalog since 7 years, and it's difficult to re-edit some old users. We still use Kathmandu, so there are some latencies during the circulation operation, because when we check in or check out an item, it is re-indexed. So we get some slowdowns on during circulation actions. I think I remember Nicolas told me that he saw on the code that they were a beginning of an ESQ, like it exists for Zebra. So maybe it could be interesting to discuss about creating an ESQ for some kind of actions. And he said also that there are too many logs that took huge place, especially the deprecation. I think I made a mistake here, but we were told that Elasticsearch should be installed on 3 different instances. We didn't, so that was not a good thing. When the Trump like Nick tells you something, you have to listen and say what he said and do what he said. So as we had only one Elasticsearch instance, we experimented some blockings during database backup. So we had to solve that as quick as possible. We don't understand that because this is a problem that that the sandbox doesn't have, but in our instances, collections, index, and facets doesn't work. So we have to find out what is peculiar to our installation and solve it. And we experimented a problem about non-indexed items when they were created in acquisition module. In our workflow, the items are created when we reset them, and some of them are not indexed. Nicolas just found out a few hours ago where it comes from, so this is a really hot information. He told me we have a no-nodes error in the log and the indexation doesn't reach commit. So he's trying to disable swap and add new nodes. I don't know if it's clear for some of you. I'm not an IT guy, so I don't understand that well. And here are our feelings about what remains to do about in the community side. About to track this kind of problems we could have experiment in the acquisition module. It would be good to have a tool to track indexation problems. When we try to access a bibliographic record that is not yet indexed, we get an internal server error. I don't know if you understand what I'm talking about. When indexation is running, if you go in the URL field and you enter a biblio number that exists but is not indexed, you get this kind of errors. So I don't know if there is a way to fix this, but it's quite disturbing. I don't know if it's totally forbidden. I know it's totally forbidden in Mark 21, but it's not in Unimark. So in our framework, especially the item framework, we are using subfields in upper and lowercase, and with this version of Elasticsearch, we are not allowed, it's not possible to make a difference if we want to map the upper or lowercase. So sometimes on when we are searching on items data, we can have strange results because it will search both the upper and lowercase. So it could be useful to have the possibility to do that. The apostrophe issues. That's an interesting one because that was reported by one of our patrons. I will show you what it's all about. If I go to our catalog and I'm looking for this author, you can see that I've got 2 results, but we possess 3 other books. Problem is, on the third book, sorry, she is not. Is it big enough, or do you want? Here is she. So this is under the direction of Ariane Eisen. So in French, there is a contraction, and we use this, and because of the apostrophe, this is considered as unique lexical, as a unique word. So when I search for Ariane Eisen, I don't find this. But if I'm looking for, I think it's that. No. If I'm looking for this, Alex, Ari, and David are working on it. So this will search the authority field, and I will find my 3 results. So it's quite strange. This is a behavior we don't really understand. We would be happy to discuss to talk about it with some people that are interesting, because with Elasticsearch, it would be the end of documents that we couldn't find. And finally, there are some that still are not in the results page. So it's quite a big problem for us. Is that clear enough? And having a full configuration setting available in the interface user would be great, because some things must still must be done in the YAML documents. And Nicola was less interesting by that, but it's interesting. In my view, it's interesting to mention it. It would be great to have a rating within the same index, because, for example, we could have only one index for author, and then in author a priority to the first author and then the second author, without creating different indexes. But Nicolas seems to think that it would be too difficult. Now we get now we understood the way Elasticsearch builds his search. So I don't know if you have any questions. If so, please don't speak too quickly. That would be nice. And I remind you, I'm not an IT guy, so an IT girl, sorry. So there are Nick and Eri that work hard on that topic. So I want to thank them because if we get Elasticsearch now in production, it's thanks to them. Also, they were a great job done by the BibLib team, especially Claire and Alex. So I wanted to thank them too. I'm sure they are the best person if you have technical questions.
So I have a comment about the issues with Z39.50. There's, in addition to the very tricky problem of configuring Zebra well, there's the issue of configuring the origin, which in this case, if you're using Z39.50 inside Koha to query its own catalog, the weight of how the origin ultimately constructs the query is an issue which you sort possibly in the results. But in my extensive testing of Z39.50 targets, I have never found a target that worked well with non-Western scripts.
Okay, I don't know what to answer to.
It was just a comment about
okay.
my observation in that where you had not only is it a problem in non-Western scripts, a problem in Zebra, but I've never found a Z39.50 target with which worked well for non-Western scripts.
I don't remember really experimenting this, but if you're interested, we can talk about it later.
Yes.
You're welcome.
So I was getting all excited as you were doing this presentation because thinking we have one big problem and we don't understand why it's happening. I'm thinking, well, this will solve it. And then you brought up the apostrophe problem. We have the same problem. We're not on Elasticsearch. We have really weird things happening with apostrophe searches of authors, titles that have apostrophes in them. And did you not have that before, or you just didn't know it? There's just so many other things going on, you couldn't isolate it?
I think that things were so horrible with Deborah. We didn't notice it.
Okay. Can I just ask if anybody else is having an apostrophe search? Like if you search for your Gene O'Neill, O apostrophe, no. You get anybody who has O in their name? Yeah, okay, so it's treating as a space, basically, and then it's the ending or orange. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
So yes, the apostrophe problem. It's not the only character that's problematic in many cases. The typical resolution is to kind of index two versions of the string that contains apostrophes. One that's without it and one that's with it. But then you need to combine the version without it with something so that the A that becomes before the apostrophe actually doesn't match anything by itself. And things get complicated really quickly. So I'm not sure if there is a perfect solution for the problem, but there's certainly some things that can be tried.
Okay. That's interesting. Do you have any questions?
I was curious about your idea of weighting the terms like multiple authors within a single index and how you thought that might work.
You mean about having weighting inside an index? For example, we are now using a trick. Just a moment. We had a problem about titles because, especially with our Chinese collections, most of our problem comes from Chinese, actually. Because the way we describe our collections, they are linked title and contained in title, and we have table of contents. So there were two noise when we get all that information inside the title index. So what we did, I will probably use English, so it will be clearer for everyone. What we did is to create two indexes. One index title with only the most important and common information, and create an index other title which contains all the linked titles. Where are they? Yeah, here we are. So there is no boost. This is our test instance, so maybe there is no boost. But we separate this. Here we are. We separate the information in two different indexes to limit the noise in the results. But it's disturbing our staff because what we put on other title, they consider it as a title because it's table of contents, so it's important when they get you know, Sonia, peux-tu m'aider? Des nouvelles, un recueil de nouvelles. Paul, au secours. Novels? Short stories, okay. Thank you. So when we have short stories, for example, that are inside only one book, all the titles of the stories are now contained in the index other title. So it's weird. I don't know if it's clear enough. So it's what we thought to be interesting is to have an index title and then inside this index to say, okay, this subfield. I don't know if everyone gets everyone knew the user interface of Elasticsearch, so it's a good illusion. So here we are, all our titles, all our other titles field. So we can, if there is a weighting inside an index, we could have here a new column with the weighting of this peculiar field inside the title index. This is one of the reflections we had here enough.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and break for lunch. And you're going to be at the Hackfest?
Yes.
Okay, so there's plenty of chances to ask more Elasticsearch questions. At that time, we'll go ahead and break for lunch.